Hi everyone. So my name is Karen, and I'm here today to talk to you about the art curation and exhibition management course that we have coming up. It'll be myself and Louise, but we also have some very special guests, which I'm going to give you a bit of information about at the end. But they are seriously top level experts in the art field. So these are just some things we're going to cover today, and I'll explain about the course as well. So one is why curation matters, moving from ideas to reality, 3 common mistakes. And I'm just going to talk you through the course curriculum, and we'll do a live Q&A. And this is just to make sure that to see whether this course would be right for you. These courses are heavily subsidized by the Visual Artists Association. So anytime you've bought a book from us or you've joined up for a course that you've paid for, this money all goes back to subsidizing these courses. This particular one, if you were doing it, other people were doing them, usually between £600 and £800. And we do have some insanely good people that we've got to join it as well, which I'll tell you in a moment. So if we go on to the next slide, let's just get cracking and have a chat. So why art curation actually matters. So the word curator you hear used quite a lot these days, and a lot of people say about kind of curators, but before they just come from the word of Latin to care or look after. Interestingly, a curator was somebody who would look after children or a flock. You'd hear about the kind of word in the church as well, curator. But in the 1600s, it went on to mean looking after kind of art collections and special artifacts and looking after them. These days, however, the world of the curator has been seriously elevated. If you look at the bottom of our 2 images here, you'll see that's the Queen Elizabeth standing next to a curator. Before, a curator would be somebody potentially in the background, but this is someone very much in the foreground. So art curators, they will plan and organize the art exhibitions at art fairs, museums, galleries, institutions, etc. But for yourself being an art curator, you can curate your exhibition, your group show, your open studios, something that you're doing on a local level up to a large level. Now, the top 5 reasons for why art curation matters. So number 1 is championing the artist. So that's showcasing work, gaining recognition, sharing this vision, and nurturing talent. But over the years, this has changed a lot more. To number 2 is income generation. It's really important for a lot of curators now to get footfall and art sales into the shows that they are curating. Another part of curation now is shaping that cultural discourse. So how to inspire, provoke meaningful conversations with a selection and presentation of artworks. In a moment, I'm going to ask you about a show that you've been to that you thought was really well curated. But you can inspire and provoke that conversation just purely by that layout, that conversation, that narrative within there. Now, enhancing public engagement is incredibly important. This is attracting diverse audiences, fostering a sense of community through shared artistic practice. Now, for yourself, you're going to want to have an engaging area for your artwork. You are potentially not always going to want to have your artwork in an institution where people come towards. You might notice now that a lot of the big art museums and institutions around the world will have touring work, or they will take a project into a community or an area where people don't naturally potentially think that they wouldn't say they're going to see art. This could be due to a family culture. This could be due to a level of feeling like you couldn't go in there, which is some people thinking that there's a class structure with going into institutions like this, or it could be a language barrier. So bringing art to people, and I'm working with my mentorship program with a few projects like this, where we're taking art into different communities in order to engage with audiences that really should be seeing this art, and they should be having this cultural discourse, and they should be preserving this cultural heritage. but they don't feel they can access into those museums or into those spaces. The final bit is that preservation of the cultural heritage. So that's presenting and safeguarding artworks. Now, you might think, well, that's a job of someone in a museum or a gallery, but it's really important for you to think about that provenance and that legacy of your own work. You may go into an art museum these days and see something that is 200 years old. That could be you one day. Each one of those people was a contemporary artist. These collections collect people with whatever to do with the story, the subject matter, the location. There's a lot of reasons why they will collect. So making sure your artwork is presented, safeguarded with that list of the provenance is important. So the top 5 reasons are championing the artist. Now, this is also championing yourself. Income generation, shaping cultural discourse, so making that inspiring, meaningful conversation with the artwork, enhancing public engagement, and the preservation side of your artwork. All right. Now, Nicholas Sirota, director of the Tate and Whitechapel Art Museum, etc., says curation is 20% flair and imagination and 80% administration, collaboration, and management. And it's true, you can ruin a great idea if you cannot bring an exhibition together. Now, this is what takes a difference between hanging a show and curating a show. So we've all had that flair of an idea. In fact, I'm going to get in the chat. Who here has had a great idea that just put yes or no, a really great idea for a curatorial idea of a program? I'm going to say yes. I've got a phenomenal idea, but I haven't done it yet. Yes, yes. So everyone's coming up and saying yes. Now, it's great having that flair and that start. And then you go, well, what do I do? Now, the reason for we're doing this course is because with this, you're going to get a really valuable document on there that can be used, which will help you. Yes, I like this one, which will help you define your ideas, spot any potential problems. So you've got that contextualization. But we're also going to put into that your curatorial vision, how you do it. We're going to talk about your space planning, the venue, the layout, the style, but also those proposals, the pitching, the planning, the budget, promotion, visitor experience, plus then the kind of feedback that you've got from that in your notes. So you can use this as getting that great idea that everyone's saying yes and go, right, I've got this idea. Okay, here's my yes. Here's my flair. I'm going to conceptualize it. It's going to look great. Okay, how am I going to refine this? What works am I putting into this? How is this going to be laid out? What type of venue do I need? What style? Oh, how do I budget for this? Putting a little budgeting list in there, pitching that idea potentially if you're looking for funding, or perhaps the location is for a place that has a great idea, and just working out where to put that specific one, how much it's going to cost, or if it's going to be free, what you're giving for it, that whole promotion and that visitor experience. All right. And that's all going to be included in a book for you, which is just amazing. So, right then, let's have a look at the next slide here. So these are some of your common mistakes to avoid. Number 1 is key, is that lack of clear conceptualization. So failing to define a clear theme and a purpose for this exhibition can result in a disjointed and confusing experience for visitors. Okay. Now, we always, first of all, think about the negative shows that we've been to. In the chat, I'd like you to just have a little think in your head. Have you been to a show, and can you remember the last time you've been to one that just felt brilliant, really cohesive? When you walk through it, it just felt like you were going on a journey. Can you think of a show that you did? So write down whether this is a local small show. How did it make you feel? Why was it good for you? Just have a little think. Because these are the ones that would have defined that clear thing and that purpose of the exhibition. And you just know when you've been to one of these. In fact, we've got Annette Price here. She Annette did a show with 4 people, and I'm not going to lie, that show was brilliant. It was so beautifully curated. It told the story. It was laid out so well, and they maximized an incredibly unusual location for it, but it was brilliant. So without thorough research and brainstorming, the exhibition may lack coherence and fail to convey that narrative to the audience. And when you're walking through or looking from a distance, if it doesn't feel right, you're not in the mood to be receptive for that message, for that art, for that experience. So a clear theme gives that coherence. Make sure you communicate it well before and during this exhibition. All right. Oh, Modigliani, take London. All right. So that's one common mistake to avoid. What have we got next? Now, really key, neglecting visitor engagement. So when you focus solely on the artworks or the artifacts without considering the visitor experience, this can lead to a lackluster show that fails to engage and inspire. You've got to step out and say, I know I'm the artist, or I know I'm working with these artists and I know the work really well. You've got to step out of your skin and say, I'm a complete newbie. I don't know anything about the artist. I know nothing about the art. In fact, it's the first time that I've been to this location. I might be feeling a bit nervous when I go in, not knowing what to expect. How can you make my visitor engagement and experience simple, beautiful, easy to navigate? Have I thought about accessibility? Have I thought about small things like the height that things are hung? So think about how that story is conveyed so the visitor fully understands. Now, sometimes what you can do is bring in an acquaintance, a friend, someone who's either good at stepping out of it, or somebody that, you know, the friends that go, oh, it's all arty-farty, I don't really get it. Get one of these people, a complete new person, to come and look through your plan, your idea, to see how they are reacting to it. Okay, so just consider how you can engage and inspire your audience better. I've done some really random things before in shows, which included once having a sound button that you could press and it would give some information, but you just tapped it. I also had one that you could record something to put in there. I've had collaboration parts in exhibitions before as well, just to really get that customer engaged with the show and with the premise. So on a collaboration project that I worked in, we even had a collaborative cocktail bar where people would have to go in teams and collaborate on how to make the cocktail, mix the cocktail, shaken or stirred. But then when they went back out, that sense of engagement had opened them up more for this artwork and the whole thing. Okay. Number 3. Everyone's going to hate this bit, I'm sure, but the planning and the budgeting is key. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And it is true. I'm sure we've all had a last minute show and it may have done okay, but that sense of panic and you suddenly think, oh God, I knew I forgot something. I wish I made those neater. Oh, why is that there? That feeling will be translated over to people who are viewing, your visitors to this. So that inadequate planning, unrealistic timelines may result in rushed decisions. With this course, this is one of the things we will be teaching you, but we'll be guiding you with, which is what are all the things you actually need to do and when do you need to do them? It will just make your life so much better to be able and be on top of this. When you're opening on the show, your private view, your vernissage, just coming up to the first few days, having that sense of cool, calm and collected, knowing that if there was any last tweak you just wanted to make, that you could do it. I have been on the other side of completely unrealistic timelines, which it's probably quite unprofessional to say, but I do remember being in a supermarket with a trolley of Prosecco in tears, literally crying as I'm pushing it through a supermarket. because everything was so late. That's the reason we want to teach you the positive thing. So consider all aspects of this exhibition with meticulous planning and budgeting. So by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Benjamin Franklin said it. So these are some common mistakes. Now, with the course, these are the people that I was talking about, okay? So what you've got here, that sounded incredibly rude. Who you've got here. So we've worked with Stephanie Deek-Ross before, who is on the left now. Now, Stephanie has an amazing career. So she's got over 15 years worth of experience just working in commercial art galleries and fairs and loads. But she managed the Anish Kapoor exhibition at the Serpentine Gallery. She raised over 2 million for the expansion of it. She's worked with Sotheby's. In fact, she does the Sotheby's art course online, which is the super expensive one. She was a fair manager for Frieze Art Fair, co-director of Art HK. I know there's someone from Hong Kong here, International Art Fair from 2007 to 2009. She was fair director of Art 13 to 15. She consults and writes for German financial newspapers such as the Handelsblatt and Neue Zürcher Zeitung, and is their London art correspondent. She does the MA art market. She's phenomenal on what she doesn't know, but she's done shows from the beginning, looking at the little ones, following them, commenting on to the Anish Kapoor exhibition. Now, a person you probably not met with us is Maeve Doyle, who's in the middle there. So Maeve is the global artistic director of the Maddox Gallery Group. Now, Maddox Gallery have got several locations in London. They're all round. They do all the big art fairs. She is from Vancouver in Canada. She previously founded London Gallery Doyle de Vere, director at Mayfair's infamous Bank Robbers Gallery. So this was best known for the sale of the Banksy's mural of slave labor, Girl with a Balloon. It's my balloon impression. She is a BBC arts correspondent. She has her own podcast. What else did she do? She co-hosted the program Goldie, the Art That Made Me on Sky Arts, which was brilliant, by the way. And she also leads all the panel discussions and works with art fairs, Wimbledon Art Fair, London Art Fair, the other art fair, Art on a Postcard, works with the Four Seasons, the Lanesborough Hotel, Brown's Hotel. This woman knows so much, and she knows all about these exhibitions and the curation. And our final person here on the right is the lovely Emily Jean Alexander. So she's experienced and certified project management professional, and she's been working in the Canadian and international arts and cultural sectors professionally and through volunteer for 10 years. Okay, so extensive experience with producing art events. She's helped with direction, management, and production of 3 editions of the Other Art Fair Chicago, 5 of the Other Art Fair in Brooklyn, 8 editions of Art Toronto, and 6 editions of the Artist Project. So she works in a cultural sector, municipal cultural sector, as well as local non-profit art organizations managing these projects. So when I said we're going to get some pretty good people, I think they are impressive, to say the least. Now, the best thing about having these 3 people that are going to be on the course is you will get a CPD certificate, so Continued Professional Development Certificate. You can also write that you did that with these 3 people. It's not just you've done this with a VAA, you can list these people. If, for example, you want to take on a local project or a larger project, you can say, I have done this course of art curation, exhibition management with 3 of the world's top experts alongside the VAA and myself and Louise, obviously. We should be at the top. You get access to all the recordings because I know not everyone is a native speaker of English. You can go back and listen. Sometimes you just want to absorb rather than write your notes down, so you can access this. And you get this document, which is, I think, is really, really key. Because when you go to do a show, you'll often, it's a bit like packing to go on holiday. You know, you write your little list and then you forget everything that you actually need. And last minute, you're panicking. This will just give you everything that you're going to need to know. And I would suggest practicing to start with just, everyone said yes, 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 yes for an idea. Practice by starting down with that idea. Could I actually take that idea to fruition? Just practicing on that budgeting, that timing. Even if you're doing this in your head as a dream, maybe you've suddenly decided that you're going to have your curation at the Serpentine. Play with it, go through it. If you have an open studios coming up, there's no point just having an open studios where you put your art up. I promise you, and I've done this with several of my mentees, if you make your open studios, your local, your art Fridays, if you make that look like it's your exhibition, it's going to be phenomenal and you'll do so well. It will look professional. That audience engagement, the sense of pride that you have when you've seen everyone else is just chucking things on the wall or propping them, it really, really makes a difference. I have an artist that I'm very proud of working with who's going to be 98 this years old in November. And she had donated some artworks to raise some money for something. And they literally just put them on tables and propped them against the wall. And they sold maybe one piece. And I said, if you ever do this show again, please let me at least hang it on the wall. No fee, just it needed to because the quality is brilliant. So the next year I went in and basically read a story, put information about her on the wall. Every single piece sold, every piece. 3 years later, I went on to do a solo show with 2 rooms in a stately home with a series of talks with this woman. And it was just leading through the story. And it just made so much more sense. But the sense of pride for her, the sense of pride that have come to view it, that understanding, and also that feedback that you get afterwards, which always helps you on your next show. By the way, every bit of feedback will help you on your next show. Now I'm going off a bit now. So let me just tell you quickly, there's 4 sessions if you do it. So number 1 is going to go more in depth about the understanding the role of the curator, different curation styles, and the fundamentals of exhibition management. We're going to cover curating for specific audiences, how to incorporate themes and narratives from that idea to the reality, and selecting and arranging the artworks. Session 3 is the logistics of exhibition setup, so needed. That marketing and promotion, how to engage visitors and manage feedback. If any of you are looking for funding of some sort, they will always ask for how that feedback and that reporting to go back to release the last bit of the funds. And session 4 is about budgets, fundraising, contracts, negotiations, obligations, and designing your own exhibition concept and a curated collection. Within these sessions, we're going to have like a 30-minute, we're just working out, I haven't got the details of who's at one session, at which session, but there'll be an interview with one of these people at the beginning with a real life case study. So they will have a real life case study that they are talking through what they did, how it went well, common mistakes, great things that happened. So you will see actual experiences happening, plus learning all the information.